Hey everyone, have you ever looked at a map and realized it was actually, well, a giant mystery just waiting to be solved? In today's explainer, we're going to look at how we can view the world around us as literal data detectives. Today, we're talking all about thematic maps. See, they don't just show us where a country is, they help us solve huge mysteries, make massive government decisions, and in some cases, they literally save lives. So grab your magnifying glasses because we are about to dive right in. To get our brains warmed up, I want to kick things off with a super simple geography question. Imagine I asked you right now, which part of Pakistan is the wettest? How would you actually figure that out? If I just handed you a giant list of numbers, your brain would have to do some pretty serious mental gymnastics. For instance, if you're given a standard data table like this, your brain has to work incredibly hard. I mean, you have to read every single row. You have to individually compare every single number, 1800, 1100, 630. And then here's the hardest part. You have to actually imagine where Murree, Islamabad, and Karachi are physically located in the country, and then mentally build that picture. There is absolutely nothing wrong with a table for just storing information, but for finding a quick pattern, it's exhausting. Okay, so let's dive into this definition and see how we fix that exact problem. Enter the thematic map. This is basically a map that shows one particular topic or theme over a geographical area to help people understand patterns and make decisions. Because our human brains are incredibly good at recognizing patterns in pictures, a thematic map instantly reveals those spatial patterns to us. Spatial just means how things are spread out across an area. In 2 seconds, instead of reading a boring table, a map colored with blue for heavy rain and brown for low rain would immediately show you that the northern part of the country is way wetter than the south. And, we don't just use them for rain, not at all. Thematic maps are used in the real world to answer one really important question about a very specific topic. Like, where do most people live? Boom, you use a population map to decide where to build new schools. Which areas are likely to flood? That's a flood risk map, used to evacuate communities and send rescue boats. From tracking where certain crops like wheat are growing, to locating exactly where forests are shrinking due to illegal logging, these maps are the ultimate problem-solving tools. And this brilliantly illustrates how doctors and city planners use disease maps out in the real world. Suppose a bunch of dengue cases suddenly appear in a city. You don't want to just read a list of patient names, you map them. The map quickly identifies the affected areas, and the decision is made instantly. You send doctors, you spray those specific mosquito breeding areas, and you warn the nearby communities. You stop the outbreak from spreading because you know exactly where it is. All right, let's move into section 1, the data showdown, where we pit tables versus charts versus maps. Imagine a government has the money to build just one single new hospital. They look at this table. District A has 15, District D has 1, District E has 16. Now this table perfectly records the numbers. Actually, it does a great job at that, but it completely hides the big picture. We have absolutely no idea where these districts are located. Now, if we turn that exact same table into a bar chart, well, it makes it incredibly easy to see who has the most and the least hospitals. District E's bar towers over the rest. District D barely even registers. A bar chart is absolutely excellent for comparing values, but it still completely ignores location. So, here is the absolutely crucial point. While a bar chart answers how much, a thematic map answers how much and where. That one extra word, where, is what makes thematic maps so incredibly powerful. Going back to our hospitals, if you look at a thematic map and see that District C and District D are right next to each other, you instantly realize an entire region has poor hospital access. You could never see that in a table or a chart. The map tells you exactly where that single new hospital needs to be built so it can serve both of those struggling districts at once. Let's bring this concept right down to something you literally experience every single day. What if we applied the idea of a thematic map to your own classroom seating plan? Your teacher probably has a table of marks, right? Ollie has a 95, Amit an 80, Sarah a 70, and so on for all your classmates. Now, that table is fantastic for keeping records and putting grades on report cards at the end of the year. But it doesn't tell the teacher anything about the physical space of the classroom or where the struggling students are actually sitting. But imagine if your teacher takes a seating chart and physically colors the desk of every student who scored above a 90 in green and every student who scored below a 50 in red. Suddenly, a geographic pattern reveals itself instantly. The teacher might look at the map and realize, wow, almost all the red squares are clustered entirely in the back row. Are they distracted? Can they not see the board? You could never, ever solve that mystery from just looking at a list of names. A thematic map is to geography what a chart is to numbers. Moving right along to Section 2, History's Greatest Map Detectives, Solving Mysteries with Geography. So, before the 1800s, people definitely had data, but relying purely on tables meant they often just couldn't see the big patterns. Then, things really started to change. In the 1800s, Charles Joseph Menard created one of the greatest statistical graphics ever made by mapping the French invasion of Russia. He showed army size, the route they took, and the freezing temperatures all on one single map. But an even earlier and honestly incredibly dramatic example happened in 1854 with a British physician named Dr. John Snow. So picture this, it's 1854, and a terrible cholera outbreak hits London. At the time, people mistakenly thought the disease spread through bad air. But Dr. Snow didn't just look at a list of the deceased, he marked every single cholera death on a map of the city. And when he stepped back and looked at the pattern, he noticed something totally remarkable. Almost all the deaths were clustered around one specific public water pump. He used this exact map to persuade officials to just simply remove the handle off that water pump. And guess what? The outbreak quickly declined. He proved that contaminated water, not bad air, was spreading the disease, simply by looking for a spatial pattern. And this changed absolutely everything. It changed medicine, and it changed public health. This historical shift from just staring at raw data to actually creating spatial pictures revolutionized science, engineering, and government planning. Suddenly, farmers could understand rainfall, environmentalists could monitor floods, and scientists could track disease. Thematic maps turn lists of numbers into pictures that reveal real relationships across space. Which brings us perfectly to Section 3, the golden rule for reading any thematic map. Whenever you see a thematic map in your textbook or popping up on the news, you absolutely must ask yourself this one single question. What is the one topic or theme this map is trying to show? Is it rainfall? Is it literacy? Is it forest cover? Once you unlock that single theme, the entire purpose of the map becomes crystal clear, and the data instantly becomes so much easier to understand. So to wrap this all up, a table tells you what the values are, but a thematic map, it tells you where those values occur, helping you discover patterns that are otherwise completely invisible. As you look at the world around you, remember that behind every boring list of numbers is a physical place, a location, a pattern just waiting to be discovered. You are now fully equipped to be a data detective. So where will your data take you next? Keep exploring, and I'll catch you guys in the next explainer.